Well, it is exactly 12:15, so let me just say to all of you, welcome to your Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club meeting for Thursday, May 7th. And so that I don't forget, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers joining us today, or maybe those that may be watching online later. Hope you have a great Mother's Day. Our invocation today will be led by Nicole Mansell. Our pledge will be led by Richard Raymond, and Neil and Blake will lead us in song. So, Nicole?
Yes, sir.
Would you pray for us?
Yes, sir. Dear Lord, we come to you today. We thank you for your blessings, Lord. We thank you for this group, this wonderful group of Rotarians who do so much for the community of Irving, Lord. I ask that you continue to look over our country, over the city of Irving, and over this group as we work together to get through this pandemic, Lord. We praise you for all of the blessings that you have given us, Lord, and we thank you for keeping all of us safe. Help us to have a wonderful week, Lord, and to have a great meeting today. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Nicole. Richard, Raymond, Jordan, do we have a flag we're going to throw up there that we can do the pledge? He's working on it. Anybody got a flag? Oh, Jerry Hicks has a flag in his background.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
thank
Jerry.
you, Jerry, for doing that. So, Richard, lead us in the pledge. You can hand over your heart. Go ahead, sir.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to the flag
of
of the
United States of America
and to the republic
For which
which it stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Good job. And Blake and Neil, now let me just suggest to all of you, if we will all mute our microphones, then you
You muted a little early, Robert.
Can't hear it.
We can't hear you.
Robert, you're muted.
okay.
We missed all that.
You missed all of that? All right. So we're going to all mute our mics, and Neil and Blake, we're going to let you sing. We're going to sing with you because we can hear you, but we won't be messing up the audio for everybody else.
Okay.
So you can mute my mic again. Go ahead, Neil and Blake.
Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. And where my fathers died, and of the Pilgrim's bride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring.
Thank you, Neil and Blake. And for all of you guys that always wanted to sound like Blake Davidson, you were singing, and the audio you were hearing was Blake's voice along with Neil. Thank you, Blake, for helping us with that. Neil, we're looking forward to seeing you and Sandra very soon with us as well. I do want to tell you a funny story before we move on in the program. I think it was last week we were singing the Rotary song. I found my wife had snuck in from behind, recorded me singing the song here, and already uploaded it on Facebook before I knew that I was being recorded. So that's why I was looking over my shoulder when we were singing to make sure that that wasn't happening again. So, well, we're glad everybody's here. I'm going to do a few quick announcements. I was talking earlier, I just want to remind you that our club's meeting every week. Probably will meet virtually through the end of May. And I'm going to continue to send out text messages and reminders every week so we can try to get a good attendance. But if you missed the meeting for whatever reason, it's on the Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club website. We have a Twitter account, we have a Facebook page, we have a LinkedIn, and we have a YouTube channel. So you can go to any of those places and be able to connect and watch a condensed form of the meeting. Jordan shortens the entire meeting, including all of our social and visiting time, down to about 35 to 40 minutes. And if you do that, you can also then send an email to Linda Despain to let her know that you watched, and you'll get credit for your makeup if you want to do that. I have a quick flag report update. Bob, you and may not even be aware of this or the most current, but we have 857 paid flags. We have 963 pending renewals, which means if everything that's pending renews, we will have, I believe that is 1,730 flags. We've brought in so far $41,210, and just since last week, the Waterside Las Colinas neighborhood has signed on for their entire community, and an office building at 1901 Gateway has signed up for 13 flags at an office building there in Las Colinas. So flag program seems to be going well. Bob, do you have any other update from that we need to be aware of?
We're going to, let's see, Rosa is mentoring Melissa, who will be taking over the delivery and pickup of the flags. And Melissa is also involved in scouting. The next thing that we have to address, so I don't know how many routes we're going to end up with, because they're going to try and have the teams be by family. So whereas before it was by troop, they're going to have more people involved, so we can do the social distancing thing. Bill LaBar is still committed to working on production, and I've heard some things about it happening this Saturday. I don't know if that's true or not. I'll find out, and we'll send out an email if we can confirm that. The thing that we need help with now is for people with sleeve and star installation. So by this afternoon or tomorrow morning, we will have numerous kits. So everyone who commits to installing sleeves and stars will have their own installation tools that they can keep with them. So if you or your family, like for me, Donna has committed to work with me, so we'll be a team and we'll go out and we'll do what we can do. So if you or anyone in your family, or you know someone that you can work with, or you enjoy working by yourself, let Rick or Robert or me know so we can get the tools to you. And I'm looking at Randy Hubbard. We are going to have to bring Randy some of those large crowbars that need to be ground down, because that's the tool that we use rather than the drill bits. I think that's it. Thanks, Robert.
Bob, thanks for that report. I do have on my calendar to go out and do sleeves tomorrow, so maybe I can follow up with you after the meeting today and coordinate some of those tools that I'll need, and I'll get locations either from you or from Lindy. But anybody that's wanting to join me is certainly welcome to join me. Any other announcements that we need to cover today? John Van Buren's waving his hands.
Yes, the May District Roundtable is this Saturday at 9 o'clock. It actually starts at 9:30, like our meetings. People get on and talk early. The link to that, Zoom link, is standby.
Why don't you just email it to me, John, and I'll send it out to everybody.
Okay, and I believe that Pam Blankensee will send the link out to everybody. You should get an email from her either this afternoon or tomorrow.
Okay. So any of you that are wanting to attend Roundtable this Saturday, 9:30 a.m., we'll make sure that we get you a link where you can do that. I did want to give a plug for the Irving Schools Foundation. Had their 33rd annual Breakfast with the Stars today. It was the first virtual Breakfast with the Stars. You can actually go on to YouTube and watch that, even though the event happened earlier today. at the very beginning of that event, when Crystal was recognizing sponsors, there was a nice recognition of the Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club. So I just want to thank you, members of this club, and our board for their continual support. We had 4 outstanding scholarship recipients. You can go in and see those students and hear their acceptance and gratitude for the different scholarships that this Rotary Club provides. So encourage you to do that. I actually threw that up on Facebook and Twitter. I'll have Jordan put that linked on our Rotary Facebook and Twitter accounts, so that those of you that either follow or subscribe to our channels, you'll just get a reminder automatically, and you can jump on and be able to see that. Any other announcements that we need to have? I'm looking around. Lourdes just joined us. Lourdes, welcome. We're glad you're here. Lourdes, you can hit your space bar on your computer or unmute yourself and say hi to everybody.
To unmute?
You're off mute. Say hi to everybody.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Lourdes has been rehabbing from surgery, so we're glad that she's joining us today as well. Patty, I'm looking around. Did Elaine jump on and join us? I did not see her. Well, we have at least one visitor today. So Patty, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Yes, I'd like my guest to stand, please. No, my guest is Judy Pearson. She is a friend, and we are both big supporters of the Irving Museum, or Irving Archives and Museum, and good friends of Jen Landry. So I invited Judy to join us today. Did you hear me?
I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Let's give all of our visiting guests. Yeah, there you go. Y'all can.
Thank you for letting me be here.
We're glad you're here. Before we go to our speaker, let me just tell you that part of my messages that I sent out today was, of course, to all of our members, and one of those was Chief Spivey, who is, as you would imagine, covered up with their city's response to the pandemic. But he did express his gratitude that we would stay connected with him. He did say he'd been online watching our meetings, and asked us at the club if we would continue to remember him and the Irving Police Department and the other first responders in our prayers. And I told him that I would pass that message along to each of you. I also got replies back from Kyle Taylor and Alice Aponta, and even David Taylor, who are also members of our club on city council. They're having a meeting today, but they asked that we continue to pray for the city and their leadership. So just wanted you to know that we've been working to stay connected as a club, even though we've been distancing because of the shelter in place, but continue to reach out to those individuals. I have a bio here, but Chris, were you going to introduce Jen, or do you want me to do the introduction?
No, I can do it.
Please.
I think most everybody knows that Jennifer Landry is the Director of Museums for the City of Irving, where she's led the team to build the new Irving Archives and Museum. Previously, she was curator of the National Scouting Museum, where she led the effort to salvage the collection from a mold outbreak. Prior to moving to Texas, she was the museum director at the Chemical Heritage Foundation in Philadelphia, where she was part of the team that built the organization's museum and special collections department. Jen has a history degree from Clarion University of Pennsylvania and a master's degree in public history from Duquesne University. She is active in national organizations, including the American Alliance of Museums, where she is a peer reviewer, and the American Association for State and Local History. And she is a published author with works appearing in volumes from the Smithsonian Institute and the Science Museum of London. Jen has been sheltering in place with Jean, her husband, for more than 20 years, along with her 15-year-old son, Lucas, a Bichon named Odie, and her cat, Agamemnon.
Thanks, Chris. Yes, and the 15-year-old has taken the dog outside, so hopefully we will not have any barking, but forgive us if we do. I'm going to try to share my screen. We will see how this works today. Okay, can people see a PowerPoint slideshow?
We can see the PowerPoint and we can see you, Jean.
Okay. All right, then we are working. That's awesome. Let me get this going. Okay, well, thank you for having me today. Many of you are already familiar with the Museums of Irving, but because this is National Travel and Tourism Month, Maura had asked me to come and speak originally in person, but now we'll do it virtually. And as you can imagine, this is kind of a surreal month for all of us that work in travel tourism and working with visitors because of the virus and most of us sheltering in place. So I was going to just give a tour of our sites that we have, in particular dive a little bit into the new museum since some of you haven't had a chance to visit it recently. And during that process, highlight some of our challenges, opportunities that we see coming up, and kind of how we're day by day, hour by hour, adjusting to the changing situation and looking ahead to what the new normal looks like. The Irving Archives and Museum, we see that serve as our central hub that oversees other historic sites in the city as well. And also our Mustangs of Las Colinas. So as many of you know, the Mustang Museum closed about 1.5 years ago because of renovations happening on the first floor of the Williams Plaza Square buildings. And we have not reopened that yet. We're now looking to see what exactly is going to happen with the plaza. The plan was that the plaza would be redeveloped to be more pedestrian friendly with some shade, and looking at how that area has changed over the last several years with Water Street opening and the Music Factory. So to make that more of a place where people would want to hang out, maybe grab a picnic. So we're kind of in a holding pattern on that to see what happens there and what the construction schedule is going to be like for the plaza. The Ruth Paine House Museum, of course, is Ruth Paine's home where she lived during 1963 and the Kennedy assassination, and had befriended Marina Oswald, who was also living there at the time. And of course, this house is, all of our sites are currently closed. We closed on March 13th and then made a formal decision to close until further notice once the county order had gone into place. At first, when I was thinking about the Ruth Paine House, I was like, I don't know when we're going to be able to reopen that. It's a confined space. I mean, it is a standard suburban house from the mid-century, so the rooms are not giant. We don't have open floor plans yet. And but in a conversation earlier this week with some other museums that have historic sites, it occurred to me that that may actually be one of the first places we can reopen, because we already have in place an online timed ticketing system that we use to book the Ruth Paine House tours. We could limit the number of people on that tour. And so what other historic sites are doing is, for smaller buildings, they're limiting it to families. So if you think about, most people visit sites with a group of people, either one other person or, you know, a family or some friends that they're obviously comfortable being around. And so I think what we will probably look at doing for the Ruth Paine House is restructuring that booking schedule so that it's a single group, and we'll have them actually meet us at the house instead of driving them in the van, so that we limit our contact and limit that to just, you know, 4 or 5 people maximum in a group that are all familiar with each other and comfortable with maybe not being able to always to have full social distancing in place. But those are the things that we think about now every day. You know, I often, you know, I think it's a unique situation because we're all in the same boat, but certainly as museum people, we did not train for this, you know, thinking about health policies and sanitizing. And so we're trying to adapt and adjust. The Bear Creek Heritage Center includes 3 historic structures, and this is probably one of our hidden gems in Irving. African American historic structures are not commonly saved. And so for us to have 3 of them on one location and to know much of their history is really important. We had an architectural preservation assessment done of those structures last year, and there's about $1.7 million in repairs that need to be done to those structures. That's a low-lying area, and if you ever drive out there after a major rainstorm, it looks like there's moats around most of the structures, and that's causing some damage to the wooden structures themselves. So drainage and repairs of the structures are a top priority for us. We've been working with the city on looking at how we use the Preservation and Redevelopment Fund to get that work at least started, and then we've been looking at some grant options to try to advance that process. We also closed this site. It's currently only open 1 day a month and by appointment. But again, I'm thinking we can probably set up a system similar to what we have with Ruth Payne, where we can have, you know, limited groups come and visit the site at a given time and meet them out there, so that we're not having to have people in one vehicle. And then our new baby, the Irving Archives and Museum, which opened to the public on February 15th and had to shut down on March 13th. I'm sure someday there will be an academic paper coming out of this, but it has been a unique challenge. Full confession, the last museum I opened in Philadelphia opened on October 4th, 2008. So in some ways, I feel like I've been here before, although friends are now telling me I'm not allowed to open any more museums because bad things happen apparently when I do that. But that's just a joke. But we certainly did this. When you do disaster and risk planning, this is not something that was on anyone's radar. And so we are grappling with what it means to basically relaunch the museum. But we had a good first couple weeks, and we're excited about the momentum we were building. And I know several of you actually got to visit before we had to close, but I thought I'd share some photos that were recently taken by the architect to highlight some of the work that's been done, and then hopefully when we reopen, you can come and visit us. As many of you know, this is the old Central Library. We've given it a facelift. It's now the Jack D. Huffman Community Building, and the Irving Archives and Museum occupies the first floor. This is the lobby. You're standing here at the elevator bank, looking towards the entrances of Rock Island, and then Irving Boulevard entrances to the left. And right in front of you is our museum store. So those glass doors actually open fully when we are open, and that is where people get to check in and learn about how they visit the Irving Archives and Museum, and then also how they can visit our other sites and other locations in Irving of interest. And we're trying to locally source a lot of materials, and then we had to have some branded items, and then things specific to temporary exhibits that are hosted at the site. When you walk in the museum, this is what you encounter. So that was where the infamous green carpet used to live, and was lots of book stacks. Now is been converted into a museum space. And it does, I mean, that's a fisheye lens they're using there, but it is pretty wide open. And, you know, sometimes hindsight winds up being 20/20, and to your benefit. We tried to build in as much flexibility and adjustments as we could into the architectural plan, so that as the museum grew and we got a better sense of what the community was responding to and what was resonating with our community, we'd be able to adapt. Those wide open spaces now are making us feel a lot better. You know, we've been talking about when we will reopen, you know, how we will probably do a time ticketing and how many people we can allow in at any given point. But there's lots of ways that people can easily social distance and be made to feel comfortable in the space. So we're very thankful that that is how it turned out. The permanent exhibit is about 90% done at this point. We have been a bit at a standstill just because our work crew was ready to come back up in March, but obviously that didn't happen just because we didn't feel it was safe. The fabricators come up from San Antonio and they stay in hotels. And it's a crew of about 10 to 15 people that are usually working, and it just didn't feel like we could ensure a safe environment. But when you walk in to the permanent exhibit, which we call the Irving story, you see the kind of the early period as the first section you encounter. And I think I spoke to Rotary, it was probably a little over a year ago, maybe a little longer, and had renderings of this. So now here they are in real life, the actual exhibitions installed. That frontier period, we talk about the founding of the town. So from the early cabin days to the surveyors, you know, Brown and Schultz coming and doing the survey. There's you can see my laser pointer. There's a survey wagon here that talks about surveying and about the work that Brown and Schultz did in their decision to found the town. Here is what we consider our prime artifact. That is the plot map that used to be in City Hall. But that is the original artifact that was used on the day of the auction, December 19th, 1903, to auction the first lots for Irving. So it's kind of like our birth certificate. Irving's unique in that we have a birthday. We just, you know, there was an actual day where the town was founded, whereas a lot of times it's more of a slow evolution. But we designed that first section of the exhibit around that object because it's big, but it is really exciting to see it installed and to have a permanent home. The next section is suburbia, and so Irving follows this pretty traditional trajectory of small rural town right outside of major metropolitan areas to suburb in the post-war period, where we become a bedroom community, and you know, more people leave every day to go to work than you know, come into the town. So this is a place where, you know, communities developed and kind of your traditional 1950s suburb. And so we have a back end of a station wagon here where we talk about the importance of the car in that evolution. Annexation, so these large murals are sort of anchors to different sections of the exhibit. And so we talk about how Irving annexed additional land so that we could become a home rule city. And then the kitchen, you know, how the kitchen evolves and new materials develop, and, you know, the dream was the all-electric kitchen. And so we had one school group before we had to shut down. Fifth graders from Brandenburg Elementary descended upon us, about 150 of them. And they were an awesome group of kids, but nothing will teach you about your exhibits faster than a group of fifth graders. You quickly learn what's going to break, and you quickly learn what is actually resonating. And those kids loved the kitchen. I mean, it's such an age where kids that they're no longer comfortable usually playing in front of each other, especially in a school group environment, but they were playing house. And it was just so much fun to see them talking about the different 1950s era kitchen parts and appliances that we had there, and interacting with the space. So that was pretty cool. And then our third section of the permanent exhibit is what we call the international city. So, you know, the early 1970s sort of is this turning point where Irving is no longer following a traditional trajectory that we see with other suburbs. Irving becomes its own city. So we look at the arrival of Texas Stadium, as a really key part of that. And then the arrival at DFW Airport, and then a section you don't see here is Las Colinas. And so how those three elements really played a key role in Irving becoming a city of its own, and now one of the most diverse in the country. We also have a temporary exhibition gallery. It's about 2,200 square feet. We were hosting an exhibit called Beyond Bollywood right before we closed, and our next exhibit coming in will actually be in September. And then we have this community gallery and flexible space. And like I mentioned earlier, we're really glad to have that now because it means there's wide open spaces where people will hopefully feel comfortable returning. But we currently are hosting in that space a partnership with Think India Foundation that looks at the material culture and art elements of Indian culture, and what an important role they play in Indian culture, but also influence American culture as well. So those are a couple more shots of the exhibit. And then we have this wide open community space, which is probably my favorite part of the museum. We wanted to keep the windows and the amazing view we have there. That looks out over Veterans Memorial Park. It's a unique perspective of the park. And so this space is designed to be able to host programs and events, and also smaller gallery spaces that the community can curate. And then Spark Lab, which is probably our biggest challenge right now. This was the thing that most people were most excited about, but unfortunately, it's also an interactive touch space. And so one of the things we're really grappling with right now is how we bring Spark Lab back in a way that's safe. And fortunately, this is part of the Smithsonian program, and we have a network of museums that are all working on this problem, but stay tuned. One of my staff last week had a pretty good perspective and idea of, when you go to the salon to get your pedicure or manicure, they come out with a sealed packet of things that have been sterilized so that the tools have been sterilized. And so we're thinking, well, how do we maybe do that in Spark Lab, where we've sterilized and cleaned the materials, they're in a sealed packet so the parent feels safe and the child getting to play with that material, and then when they're done, it goes back to be sterilized and cleaned again. That's one of the things that we're thinking about as a possibility. Traveling exhibits coming up. We're hosting several national traveling shows. In September, we'll be hosting Apron Strings, Ties to the Past, which looks at aprons as a lens to look at how domestic life has changed over the years. I like the apron with the Girl Scout emblems that it says, sweeping, washing, drying, cooking, my house spick and span, she's looking. So we use aprons to kind of think about domestic and American life. And we're going to be putting out a call to the community to bring your own aprons and tell your story about your apron. Then early next year, we'll be hosting 2 NEH, National Endowment for the Humanities, traveling exhibits. We'll be one of the first institutions to host both of those. They're new traveling shows. The first one is called Away from Home, American Indian Boarding Stories, School Stories, and that looks at, in the late 19th, very early 20th century, Native American children were often taken to centralized schools, the most famous being Carlisle Indian Barracks in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, to be Americanized. And so this is actually a picture of a group of children from the Sioux tribe shortly before they were taken to the school. It's a difficult story, but an important one for us to know and to remember, and also about how many of those children reconnected with their Native American heritage and history after those events, and continued their story. And then the next exhibit we'll host after that is World War I America, which looks at the role that World War I had on impacting American culture. So not just the war itself, but sort of the technologies that developed and the social movements that evolved because of that war. And this picture did not have that great of impact on me when I booked this exhibit 8 months ago, but now has a whole new meaning. This is a group of soldiers that had been quarantined in New York because of the Spanish flu. And so, you know, that element of World War I takes on a whole new meaning for us now. We have a personal connection to those events. So we will be, of course, exploring that. So what's next for us? Well, May 15th was supposed to be our grand opening. That's not happening. But we will be completing the permanent exhibit Media Elements here over the summer months. A lot of that involves having to bring actors into a studio, so we had to put that on hold until we felt it was safer. We've started a collecting initiative, so I encourage all of you, if you're taking digital photos or maybe keeping a journal or have artifacts related to the pandemic we are all living through, you know, thinking about the Spanish flu, much of what we know about that event is through archives. So personal accounts and experiences, letters, images, journals from that time period help inform us of how people responded to that event. We have an online form where you can digitally upload things pretty easily. If you go to the city website and go to the Arts and Culture Department, there's a link on that page where you can upload images and short videos, or just submit a note to us that you have something that you'd be interested in donating. We are thinking by late summer, we will do some sort of time ticket entry where we'll have you know, people being able to visit on a limited capacity. We're also exploring with Think India doing some very small level workshops with health and wellness in mind. So thinking yoga, meditation, healthy nutrition from an Indian culture perspective. And we're hoping for a fall grand opening. Question mark beside that, because we are not in control of that right now. There's a virus controlling much of that decision making. But we are hoping that by late fall, we'll be able to have a grand opening for the museum. Funding is a big issue for us right now. We are primarily funded through hotel occupancy tax, and unfortunately that is not a very good revenue source right now. So we are, this is actually my break for the day from applying for a National Endowment for the Humanities grant that is due on Monday. So we are busy applying for funding and seeking sources. We're also, you know, looking for support in the community, but also community collaborations and partnerships. So Think India has been a really great first experience for us. They have been wonderful to work with, and through their community partnerships and planning, that would have cost us thousands of dollars to do, and we would not have been able to reach the communities that they have been able to reach. And so we're hoping to find other opportunities to work with nonprofit organizations and different cultural and community groups such as Rotary. Think India's exhibit was a blockbuster and a big show, but it doesn't have to be that size. It could be as small as a couple of pictures or objects and a label of 200 words. I mean, we are really wanting this to be a community museum and a place where Irving can gather. With that, and I just love that space. So we'll conclude with those pictures. And I think I probably went a little long. I'm sorry, Jordan. I saw you sending me messages, but let me, I think I can stop share. And then we're back. So are there any questions, or I think we have a little time.
We do have a little bit of time, so if you have a question, you can either raise your hand physically or you can raise your hand on your computer screen. I'll let Jen call upon you so that she can answer.
I see Patty waving.
Patty, yeah, okay. Oh, I was just going to say, you know, you were talking about the Think India Foundation, and was fortunate enough to get to attend a couple of those events. And I will tell y'all, that was so rich in just learning about the Indian people in our community. And I think Judy and I attended a mystery dinner theater, and it was so much fun. and it was what it showed me, and it was what a great sense of humor these people had. It was a wonderful evening, and how talented they were. And, you know, it was just great. So I was just very grateful for that opportunity in our new museum. And when it does open up again, I'll tell y'all, it is so nice and such a great place to visit. So.
Thanks, Patty. Yeah, we've been really, I mean, Think India has just been such a great partner for us, and they really, they blew it out of the water. I'm like, it's going to be hard to top that, but we'll find different ways and different approaches.
Anybody else have a question for Jen? I'm looking around. Jen, thank you. We are looking forward to the archives opening and us to have an opportunity to see that. Maybe even, you may have said this, but do y'all have meeting facilities up there? I know at one point we did a Rotary meeting at the new Irving Library. Will you have facilities where if we wanted to come have a Rotary meeting there, we could?
Yes, so we have the auditorium space, which was there before when the library was located there. So that space is available for meeting space. And then we have some flex space within the museum where meetings can happen. But for a meeting like Rotary, the auditorium would be perfect.
Good. Well,
I just wanted to ask, and this is from the old librarian that used to work in that building, but did you redo those, the seats around the pillars there? Were those ones that were in the library?
Those are new.
They're new?
Yeah.
Oh, they're exactly like some we had.
Oh, are they? That's
Yeah,
so funny.
funny.
I didn't know that. No, those were gone by the time I was there then, because I never saw them. But yeah, we worked with the city has a contract with a local furniture company, and so we worked with them, and they, again, just fortunate. He really pushed for us to use hospital grade material. So that's easy to clean, and you can use harsh, sanitizing chemicals. And I was like, I don't know. But we went with it, and I'm so glad we did.
Oh, yeah.
And white Clorox wipes on those.
Exciting. Well, Jen, we'll have to get on the calendar later 2020 or early 2021, depending upon when y'all can accommodate us and bring our entire club and have a meeting and maybe a tour afterwards, if that can be arranged, okay?
Absolutely. We would love to have you.
Well, Jen, thank you again. Stay on just a moment in case somebody else has questions. I do want you to know that Jen's entire PowerPoint presentation and this entire meeting is being recorded and uploaded. So if there's some of those things you want to go back and see again, you'll be able to do that. Tracy was able to jump on with us, as was Lazaro. So we've got about 2 minutes, and we still have to get the four-way test. But Lazaro, give us just a brief update on Irving Marathon and your virtual event for this month.
Sure. Thank you, Robert. And sorry I joined a little late. I was having difficulties here, but just a little recap. We finished the Irving Marathon and we turned it into a virtual event, which we had 1,854 people from all over the country sign up for a virtual run with the name of Irving Marathon. So that was a huge success. About 600 of those people were brand new that signed up in April after we converted the event. And with that success, we opened it up for the virtual Fiesta de Mayo, which was supposed to be a live event. So for that, right now we're sitting at about almost 200 people registered already for that. We're continuing to work with the foundation. We had a call with Laura a couple of weeks back. We're going to have another call, but we're about $8,000 that we're have raised for the foundation that we're going to do a check presentation here in the next couple of weeks as well. And then Jordan's been a big help with us. He's taken the initiative to get the community business engaged, and we have about 21 partners so far from the community. This week coming up, we're doing a virtual social run to get all the businesses engaged with the community as well. Even though we're not able to exercise together, we're still bringing awareness. And a little bit different than last time. Last year for the 2020 event, It was just me working a lot of different things, and now we're excited because we actually have a team. Jordan is in the team, Cody, which some of you guys have met, and now we have the agency as well, and as well, more community partners like the Rotary and whatnot. So we're pretty excited about what we're gonna do now going forward once this is over and we're able to reunite again as far as what running is gonna mean to the community here pretty soon. So that's all I got, Robert. Thank you.
Thank you, Lazaro. And many of you will remember in March, we were going to have some of these students participating in a race that ended up not happening. So we'll make sure we get those students once they do have a live event and get them out. Want to give a shout out to Bobby Haas, who's joining us bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Hey, Bobby. And Doreen Milano is joining us as well. So, and Tracy Love is in. So, Tracy, I'm going to call upon you real quickly to give us a YMCA update so that our members will know what's going on with the Y. And then once we finish that, Laura Manning's going to lead us in the four-way test. So, Tracy, anything you want to share with us real quick? Be sure to hit your space bar or unmute yourself. You're still muted. Jordan, unmute her if you would, please. All right, Go ahead, Tracy.
All right. So since the governor made the announcement about gyms being able to open on May 18th, the YMCA, we're taking a little longer approach just to make sure that we're prepared. I actually walked through one of the YMCAs that is preparing to open first this morning, and it's a lot of work. So we just want to make sure we're being thorough. But the YMCA Association, we've decided to open 7 YMCAs first on June 1st. And then from there, we would select other branches to open gradually. Irving is not one of those YMCAs that will be opening in the first round on June 1st. But hopefully on Wednesday, we have an association meeting. I'll have more information around when the Irving YMCA will open. So stay tuned. We're getting there.
Keep us updated.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you once again to everyone that's been a part of this. Jen, thank you. Great presentation, and really, really looking forward to the museum and archives and seeing what you and your team have put together. So thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So Laura Manning, lead us in the four-way test.
And then what you do is then testing and keep them in batches and keep them small.
Is that somebody talking?
I was saying,
okay.
It makes sense on the
if everyone could join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First.
We only have 8 weeks, so it's
Can you hear me?
It's going to be 4 payrolls.
Now we're ready. All right, please join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Laura. Thank you to everyone that was part of this meeting, and we're adjourned. We'll see you next Thursday.
With only
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're really working with 8 weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to leave this out for a minute, so you don't have to go right away. If you want to visit,
you're
welcome to stay on.
We'll be tied to
probably another 5 minutes, but good to see everybody.
We have to spin it out.
y'all.
And then we come back and we show
Haas, David Harris. Guys, we've been missing you. We're glad you guys were able to join us.
We would show at the end of those 8 weeks, we would show exactly what we transferred and what costs have been covered. But they would have already been expensed out of general fund, written out of checking, just like they always are. So we're not having to change anything on that.
See, I was just in my head, I'm just thinking, is there a big difference? The journal entry to take it out of cash, right out of like we have a balance.
Would be important, yes. So, but we will make it all work. Our speaker hasn't joined us yet, so I'm not sure if she's been having difficulty to get on either, but we hopefully we'll get all this fixed up in just a moment, all right?
Yes, sir.
But glad everybody's here with us. Jerry, you got a flag there in the background, so appreciate the patriotic post there.
Can you hear me?
John, you move your camera every week. Your wife's picture on the wall is in a different place.
I'm just sitting in a different place.
You're sitting in a different place, all right? Well, I just want you to know we're noticing. And Laura, we're not getting that great lake view that we enjoyed last week.
Well, that's because I can't. Can you hear me talking?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, it's because I can't sign in on my phone, and my computer makes everything green. So I can't do video from my computer.
I thought it's because you turned green last week.
Nicole has joined us. Agnes said you were going to be with us today, so welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hey, Duke.
And does Magda pay you a hazard pay for joining these meetings?
Right next to you there.
Yay.
Yeah, she plans it that way, I know that.
Yes. Well, because you're my boyfriend.
Wow.
Well, this is being
you just say that because there's social distancing.
No. If I could hug you, I would.
Okay. Well, you know, some of us social distance better than others, and
right.
Yeah, just.
Robert, on a sadder note, I don't know who may know this or not, but our friend Max Duplante's father passed away last Friday.
I did not know that Max father.
That's why you haven't seen a whole lot of Max. She left for Port Arthur that same day.
All right. Well, we'll have to send her condolences. Judy Pearson has joined us. Hi, Judy.
Hello.
How are you?
Thank you for allowing me to join you today.
Yeah, I understand that you're a friend of Jen. Is that right?
Yes, yes, I am a friend of Jen. I have been serving on the arts board, and so have been closely connected with her efforts to open our museum.
Well, wonderful. We're glad you joined us. She's not on our participants yet. If you have her cell number, you might text her and tell her that the meeting's open if she needs to upload anything. We were having some
yes
earlier.
Let me get my phone. I'm sure I have the number.
Nicole, did you have any problem getting on?
No, sir.
Okay. Well.
There she is. I see her. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
All right. Jen, we're glad you're with us. Did you have difficulty getting on earlier?
No. Well,
Okay.
it took a while, but my actual challenge has been my email is not allowing me to send any emails out. So Mara and I were trying to communicate, and that wasn't going well. But thank goodness for Gmail. So we've got it all set up.
Do you have any a video or anything like that you need to upload for the presentation today?
So I have a PowerPoint, which I think it looks like I'm able to share screen.
You are?
I see the icon at the bottom. So when you're ready, I tried it the other day, so hopefully it will work again. And I can share my screen with some pictures.
Okay. Jen, my son Jordan, who's also on a member of Rotary, but on the program with us, is the host, and so he can adjust whenever we need to, when we start the meeting and we need to share a screen and things like that. All right.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Jordan.
All right, Laura.
Hey, Laura.
I got it working.
All right, good job. We got you up here twice though, so
I left the other one.
All right.
Oh well.
Hey,
Double Laura's not so bad, is it?
you get credit for attendance and a makeup all in the same meeting. All right. Okay.
Perfect.
That works pretty good. Oh, Randy Hubbard's now on the beach.
Yeah, I'm gonna move around on you.
Little background there.
Oh, that looks nice. That's where I want to be.
You guys are all high tech there, and my son Jordan put together a virtual background of the Rotary seal and this year's Rotary theme, and I can't get it to work up. He says that there's something wrong with either myself or the computer. So we'll figure it out. Maybe before we finish these Zoom meetings, I can get that all fixed. But welcome everyone. We started last week as we, let me just pay attention to the time. We've got about 15 minutes, Jen, until I'll start the meeting. And,
okay, sounds good.
And then probably by the time we finish our prayer and pledge and our song and stuff and introduction of visiting guests, then we'll go to you probably around 12:30, 12:35. Does that give you enough time for your program?
Yes.
Okay, good. But I started last week, just letting everybody kind of tell an interesting thing about what they were doing during the shelter in place. So I'm going to start that, and as other people join on, we'll welcome there. There's Chris Dobson and Linda Despain's joining us. I see Patty Landry's there. Hi, Patty. How are you?
Hi there. Did you see? Hi, Jan.
Hi, Patty.
And Judy's
Hey, Chris.
Did you see? Oh, is Judy there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Patty, for inviting me.
Okay.
Yes. On my computer, she's right above your right shoulder, so just look up and wave at her there.
Okay.
I'm trying to get rid of
There you go.
all of my bright lights and.
Oh, I see you. Okay. All right, because Jerry's next to me. Oh, no, I lost somebody.
That's all right. There's
Okay.
Robert Nelson joining us today. Hey, Robert.
Wow.
Hello.
Glad you're here with us.
Thank you for the invite.
And just so all of you know, I sent an invite to some of our former members, David Lee, Frank King, and Ken Lancaster, have all stepped out of the club due to either moving or retirement or health, but they can join us virtually. So I encourage them all if they wanted to jump on. So if you see any of them jump on, we want to make sure we make them feel welcome as well. I don't remember who had a chance to give us an interesting shelter in place or adventure story. So I'm going to try to do this quickly while we let other people jump on. Randy Hubbard, anything interesting you've been doing during the last few weeks?
No, sir. We've continued to be working and everything, but same old, just going from the Red River back to Coppell, as far as just trying to hang out and hide out.
All right. Hang out and hide out. And have you been enjoying those grandkids a little bit?
I'm on the computer.
Uh-oh. Randy, have you been able to enjoy those grandkids a little bit?
I'm sorry, I lost you just a little bit. Have I been playing with my grandkids? Yes. They're 1 and 3 now. A lot of fun. Enjoying.
Fun age there. Fun age. Linda Despain, were you able to tell us last week of fun things you were doing?
Yes, you did call on me.
Okay. I forgot. Mike Kuhnstadt has joined us. Hi, Mike, and Richard Raymond.
Hello.
Glad everybody's there. Robert Nelson, anything interesting you've been doing in your last shelter in place?
No, Randy, your old house over on Hillendale sold a couple of months ago.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, they're rehabbing it.
Oh, okay.
They're going to find all those
it's
things.
boring.
Are they going to find all those things stuck in the wall and things like that?
I'm sorry?
Are they going to find all those things stuck in the wall?
Probably.
Probably.
Found all my old hiding spots.
Oh. Well,
Anyone else having a little bit of audio? I'm moving around trying to find a.
I just don't have video.
Yeah, I'm just.
Well, we have video.
Yeah, my audio just keeps kind of cutting out.
Mine does too, and it sounds like Robert's talking in a hole sometimes.
Yeah, the echo
Okay.
chamber.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to move around and see if I got a better connection.
If
My
we put it
Wi-Fi.
on mute unless we want to talk,
Yes.
I take out some of the.
And if you keep it on mute, you can just go down your space bar when you want to talk. But Randy, it's hard to get Wi-Fi on the beach, so.
It may be.
And anybody notice that John Van Buren's kind of hovering, and sometimes he fades in and sometimes he fades out. You're kind of
I'm a ghost with the birds. That's what it is.
Oh.
He looks kind of like a head on a platter.
He does.
Oh. So that's what that camera means at the.
Yeah, yeah. Down
Oh,
at the
yeah.
bottom. Now you see us.
Yes. Yay.
We're all here. Well, exciting for everybody. And thank you for participating. I sent out text messages to every single person in the club today that I had cell phones on, and if you didn't, I appreciate you. I'm not sure why I'm getting that. Jordan, can you fix the echo that's coming through? All right, somebody's cell phone's ringing. Tell them you're in Rotary.
Mute your phone.
All right. Well, anybody else have an interesting story from the shelter in place? The screen's moving around on us here, so. How many of you did not, there's Bob Bourgeois joined us. Hey, Bob, how are you?
Oh, and Don.
Don Jensen's there.
Good afternoon.
Don, you look like you're got a little stubble on the chin there. You
well, it comes and goes.
You taking after your big brother Bob Bourgeois there that's trying to catch up with him?
Well, I told him he's fertilizing the wrong side of his face.
Put some of that fertilizer on the top. Is that what?
Yeah.
Oh.
I get to get a haircut tomorrow at 12:30.
Yeah. You're
Wow.
getting a haircut tomorrow.
Yes, first time.
I get one on Saturday.
10 weeks.
Well,
10
please, we can remember you. I've never seen you like that.
Yeah. That kind of looks like your picture from the 1970s, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been decades.
Yeah.
12:30 tomorrow.
12.
Wow.
So you'll be all clean shaven and looking pretty for next week's meeting.
And probably several pounds lighter.
Well, it's so good to see everybody, and glad we're able to meet like this. I will let you know the country club has told us that probably they're not going to be able to reopen at all during the month of May, possibly that last Thursday in May, the 28th. But I've already made them aware of the fact that some of our members may or may not all be coming back at that point. So I mentioned this last week, but I want you to know that even when we do start joining again or meeting again at the country club, that we will be Facebooking live our meetings, and we'll also be Zooming. So the Facebook Live allows you to watch it later. It'll be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So the Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club now has a YouTube channel. And in fact, there's already content on it. Nicole, are you making faces at me or something? Did you think that?
No. I was going, woohoo!
Okay, I wasn't sure if maybe you were giving me the bunny ears or something. So, there's David Harris joining us. Welcome, David.
Hey, David.
Connecting the auto there. They're almost connecting. I see Neil Davidson just popped in there.
Yes. Hello.
Neil, is that Neil?
Dad's here too. Hello there.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Laura, are you inside today?
Rotary meeting. Pepsi? Oh,
Oh, turn on your microphone. I can't hear you.
turn that.
I'm outside.
Oh, you are? I couldn't tell. Oh, okay. Nice.
There.
Oh, I
Is that better?
see. Yeah. Nice.
Thanks.
All right. Jordan, if you'll help David Harris get his audio on for us there. And man, my screen is filling up. So good to see everybody.
I invited Elaine to join us, but I haven't seen her yet. I don't know.
Hopefully she'll pop in here in a few minutes. Anyway, I was commenting earlier that we'll be recording our meetings, but we'll also have the country club set up a second TV. One TV will be used by our speaker. The other TV will actually be a monitor so that anybody that joins us via Zoom will be on a large screen TV and actually talk and participate.
Oh my. No, that's not a good idea. For me at least.
Well, we will be able to mute those participants as well, but hopefully all will go well. We're going to figure this out as we move along, but
So if my second home ends up being in the South Pacific somewhere, I'll be able to.
you can still participate, and even if you miss a meeting, you can go online to our YouTube channel or our Facebook and watch the meeting and get credit for a makeup. We have all of the meetings for the last month that have already been uploaded. In fact, Jordan told me that in addition to the 22 people we had attend last week, 18 people watched last week's meeting either on Facebook or our YouTube or our website. So exciting to see people engaging that way with us. All right. It is almost 12:15. So Richard Raymond, did you get my message earlier about leading us in pledge?
No,
Okay.
I will though. I will.
Okay. Thank you. And then Nicole, Magnus said that you were going to pray with us today. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I put you down for that. Neil and Sandra, are you able to lead us in song?
I can. We don't have piano here though.
We'll just sing a cappella with you if you'll just tell us what song we're singing.
I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll sing with you. Okay, I've got Blake singing with me.
Yeah, no, we're close enough. I don't know. Yeah, we can do My Country 'Tis of Thee.
My Country 'Tis of Thee?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll call upon you to do that for us in just a minute.
Okay, we'll do it.
That works good. We have somebody else that joined us down below there. Came up with a phone number.
That's David. Harris.
Oh, David Harris.
Is that David?
Mhm.
All right, so David, we got your picture in one place and your audio in another.
Yeah, apparently I don't have speakers.
All right. Well, we're glad you're able to jump in on us. That's a great thing with technology. We'll make it work. We'll figure out a way.